happening, my friends? I'm Trevor Phipps from Unearth. This is El Ren, Agents of Rage.
Yes.
See you next time, my friends.
Well. What's up, Ragers? Welcome back to another episode of Agents of Rage, the show where two dudes just hang here and we just talk about metal. It's been a minute, let's just say, since we have done an episode. TD, it is great to see you. How you doing? What'd you think? I'm kind of messing with the open and doing some different things. What do you think?
Oh, what's up, Elren? It's good to see you. I know it's been a few minutes. I like the way we fell into some trap, some with trap floor at the end there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the last part reminded me of. I actually heard this on. They had this Into the Trivia Pit on SiriusXM. They were talking about was it the one movie Ozzy was in that played a preacher, I think.
Oh, right.
And the person had to guess, Anyway, it reminded me of the Trick or Treat movie, which was that was what he was in, which is pretty cool. So it's all good. It's good to be back.
Yeah. Was that the one with Gene Simmons too?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Like 1987 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Classic, metal and horror coming together.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that's always pretty good. Well, guys, we are happy that you are here. Again, it's been a while since we've done a show. We want to get back into the routine of doing these. We got a lot to get to. Obviously, a lot has happened since basically June, since we've done a program. And we're going to talk about, back to the beginning and Black Sabbath and Ozzy and kind of our thoughts on our experiences with Ozzy and Sabbath and that kind of thing in general. Talk about our favorite albums and stuff. And we're going to get into, also, just kind of what we do here, talking about like some metal news and some things like that. But of course, one of the things that we love to do is bring you live concert clips from shows that we go to. Now, it just so happened, I had gone to a Machine Head show, way back on May 2nd, but we had never had a chance to show the clips here on the program. So we want to do that. And, I was at the Fillmore in Detroit. It was the Machine Head North American tour. 4 bands played that night. So it was Unearth. It was, they're from Boston, great guys. Obviously, you saw in the open there, it was awesome. He was so accommodating to be able to do that. Shout out for us. I appreciate it very, very much. And Lacuna Coil from, Milan, Italy, so I'd never seen them. I know you have. I had never seen them, so that was awesome. You're going to get some clips from that. I had seen In Flames a few times. They're from Gothenburg, Sweden. Seen them a few times. Just got one clip of them because we've shown them here on Agents of Rage before. And I know we've shown, the Oakland Boys Machine Head many times, but it's always great just to see them. Their performances, to me, just seem to be getting better and better. So we've got an extended clip where I put all the bands together so you guys can just sit back and rock out. So why don't we just get to it right now, and then we'll get into the rest of the show. This is Machine Head, the North American tour. Again, Unearth, Lacuna Coil, In Flames, and Machine Head. Let's go ahead and get to that right now.
Hold the
Start to finish, man, those guys slay it every time now. I
Yep.
swear to goodness. And man, it's like Machine Head, dude. They just, it took so long for me to see them here because they had been postponed. You remember I went through on
Yeah.
that thing where, they were going to, and then finally now I've seen them like 3 or 4 times, just within the last couple years. And every time
Yeah.
it just gets better. And man, I just love going to that show. And that was
Yeah.
a really great bill. I mean,
Yeah.
Unearth was strong. Lacuna Coil, again, great. That kind of, I call it like spiritual metal,
Yeah.
when you're in
I
there.
love
Because
that.
when she's singing, man, you're just like in the zone, But then they have some really heavy,
Mhm.
real fast stuff too. I did a lot of shorts for those
Yeah.
that are on the channel, on the YouTube channel. From that night too, and In Flames is always great, and they have their fan base, and they always pick the right songs to play. So I don't know, what'd you think
Yeah.
of that little groupings of music right there, and kind of the show in general of what you would experience?
I thought it was great. I think you picked some good songs, and that's why I wore my Lacuna Coil hat.
Nice.
And my favorite Machine Head song is Locust, and
Yeah.
you played that. So they had a pretty cool stage setup. I thought Machine Head, but those are
Their video
those were all
presentation is always amazing. Remember when we were at Incarceration, and and they had just those videos going behind and everything on stage. It was electric.
I think all 4 of those bands have done their own headline tours in the past, so they all have like top-notch stages,
Yeah.
and stage shows. Press was good,
Yeah.
real good.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So if you haven't, seen Machine Head or haven't had a chance to catch them, they're doing more of the festivals now, which is always a great thing. So people can get an opportunity to maybe not catch a full set, but you're going to get, a good hour of the boys. And,
Yeah.
Rob Flynn, man, again, has been around since, since forever,
Yeah.
and doing his thing. And, again, has been, a solo artist now since, the early 90s, and still making great music. So in fact, I'm wearing my Machine Head shirt. This is Unatoned, the tour that
Nice.
that they were doing. And so this particular shirt is, I bought a thing, and it's got the tour dates on the back and all that. What are you wearing, my friend?
Well, the sun is blocking it
Yeah, I
some,
see.
but I've got Black Sabbath
Of course.
From the is it In the End, Near the End tour?
Right.
Their last tour, I think. Yeah,
Oh,
actually,
what?
yeah.
How many in the end, near the end tours? How many farewell
Oh,
tours did they
true.
do? Yeah,
And
I
then I got this
remember. Go
poster
ahead.
in the back from the same
Yeah.
show, which is actually it's
What year was that?
oh man, it was before COVID, so I don't
Okay.
recall.
It's probably
But
like
with
17 or 18,
that's
something
what I
like
was
that.
thinking. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
San Jose.
You know, it's interesting. It was the one thing that I never got an opportunity to see Dio Black Sabbath. So the Heaven and Hell version, because I know they couldn't
Yeah,
use the name after a while.
yeah,
I remember, and I want to say it was probably like 2005 or something like that. I'm probably way off on the day, but it was somewhere in the 2000s, and they were here, playing at like what was then Joe Louis Arena, and I didn't get it. I couldn't go, and I really
yeah,
wanted to. So I did, because again, as much we're going to talk about Sabbath here and Ozzy and all that, and of course, I mean, the goats, we love that, but
yeah.
there was something about that Dio era of Sabbath. That again, if you love Dio, it sounded a lot like Dio music, but
Yeah.
excellent nonetheless. That first album, Heaven and Hell, you can put up with a lot of great classic albums.
Absolutely. Well, I funny enough, I was putting together my show notes, and I've seen Black Sabbath 4 times. But one of them was with Dio singing, and I never saw Dio solo. And it was I forget the name of the tour. Judas Priest and Heaven and Hell were rotating headliners, and I think it was around 2005, but
Yeah.
that was the only time I got to see him, man. But it was great, man. I can, you can't say that I've seen him,
Oh yeah, that's great. I have seen Dio as a solo artist. Saw him probably 3 times in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he was touring a lot back then. But
Yeah.
I just never got an opportunity to see him with Sabbath. So I have seen Dio. It was interesting. I remember like seeing some YouTube clips a few years ago. They they brought him back via like hologram.
Oh,
And-
I think I heard about that.
Yeah, and he's actually, and you could look this up. You just put like Dio hologram, and it's like you've got a real band that's playing, and then he shows up like in the middle of the stage as like a hologram, and he's doing the songs,
Yeah.
throwing up the horns, and he's doing everything, and it's
Free AI.
yeah, it's really trippy. And there was like a little time for a while, like there was that Tupac hologram, and then it was
Yeah.
Dio, and there was like Elvis, and there were quite a few that were going around. With AI and everything, the way things are rolling, man, I don't think it's going to be long before we're going to get like full shows of
Yeah.
our former people that we love back in their
Yeah.
heyday.
Led Zeppelin or whatever.
I know. Say what you want, whatever. I'm in, dude. I want to see it. I want to live. I mean, whatever, man. As long as the state or whatever gets the money,
Yeah. Right.
If, as long as there's some good that's happening with that. Obviously, I just don't want to see some AI creator take all the cash for using somebody else's stuff. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's kind of nuts. But again, hey man, we thank you guys being here again back here on Agents of Rage, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more shows. And but he mentioned Black Sabbath. He's wearing the shirt. Let's talk about back to the beginning, because obviously we had no idea that we knew it was going to be Ozzy's last show and Black Sabbath's last show. We had no idea he was going to die just a couple of weeks later, which was insane. That one-day event that happened in England, what's your take on everything that went down?
Well, I thought it was pretty cool. In a number of different ways. That the artist didn't get paid. Everything, all the proceeds went to a nonprofit, and so it was cool to see the amount of different artists, from within the metal genre, basically, all participate. It says a lot about what Ozzy meant to everyone, even outside of metal music, and his impact on people's lives.
Oh yeah, there's no question, and I thought it was really awesome, the bands that showed up, and so I mean, I remember Rah Rah hit us up like when we first saw this thing was happening. We're like, oh my gosh, how can we get to England? But of
Yeah,
course it wasn't going to happen.
yeah.
But looking, I think Rah Rah had actually bought the live stream. I was gonna buy the live stream, and then
Yeah.
I think we had some family thing or something, so I didn't end up
Yeah,
buying.
same here.
Yeah, so I ended up watching a lot of the clips, obviously on YouTube, probably like a lot of
Mhm.
you people out there. But I thought it was really cool what they were able to do, and a lot of the the groups that showed up. I think I've got like a little bit of a list here of some of the artists and what they did. Let me see here if I can pull that up here real quick, because it was cool. And once I started looking at everything that went down, I was like, wow, that's there were a lot of acts,
Mhm.
that were doing it, and were performing and all that stuff. So, hang on one here. I'm gonna
While you
find.
do that, I'll
Yeah,
mention that I thought it was interesting. I saw on the socials Robert Griffin III, former Washington Redskins quarterback, did a little piece on Ozzy. And I said that just summarizes Ozzy. He transcends music. He was touched by everyone. It was pretty cool because I remember being an Ozzy fan as a little kid, and he was evil, and and that's just not who he was.
yeah, no question about it. And we're gonna get into our album things here in 1 second. So as far as the show, so here's what in case you didn't get a chance to kind of figure out exactly what's happening. So Mastodon was there. Mastodon did a great cover of Supernaut from Volume 4, 1972. Amazing performance. Rival Sons, which I don't even really know who those guys are. They're probably like I don't know if they're kind of like a rock band or whatever, but
Yeah,
they were really, really good. And they did Electric Funeral from the Paranoid album. So that kind of had that bluesy doom thing going, and it sounded great. So they did a great job. Anthrax, of course, is there. They have done Black Sabbath on their albums
hmm
in the past, especially B-sides, like in the 80s and 90s. You can find some of those. They did Into the Void from Master of Reality, 1971. So that was great to see that. Who else? Hailstorm was there. And Lizzie Hale, she can belt it with the best of them. They did Perry Mason, so they were doing some Ozzy solo stuff, you know?
yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, so that was from the Osmosis album in '95. Lamb of God did Children of the Grave from Masters of Reality. So, they were always going to bring it that. They had a couple super groups, and it was interesting. So this one group that was, I think, like Nuno Betancourt and like Frank Bello and this guy drummer from Sleep Token and something like that. I'm not sure exactly. I think yeah, whatever his name was, Adam Wakeman, I think is his name. I don't know, or he might just have like a number for a name. Those Sleep Token guys are weird. But they had this guy Youngblood, who's like a rapper or whatever. I think he's from England, but he did Changes,
Yeah,
and that's from Volume 4, and that was actually really amazing. Like I was
yeah.
impressed. I was like, wow, that guy really. I mean, he got that whole place going, man. That was cool.
Yeah.
It's a pretty amazing song. Alice in Chains did Fairies Wear Boots from Paranoid, so that was cool. That sounded really good. Gojira did a great set. They even did that song they did at the Olympics and brought out the Marie Antoinette, like opera singer or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they did Under the Sun. So some of the songs they picked, some of the bands were really, really cool. Songs you just don't hear, not just all the hits and stuff. So Under the
Right.
Sun is awesome song. And they played that. There was like a drum off to Symptom of the Universe, which was like Danny Carey from Tool and Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Travis Barker from Blink 182. Tom Morello was playing guitar on that stuff. Rudy Sarzo was playing
Oh
bass
yeah.
and everything. So that was sweet. The other super group they had, it was like Billy Corgan was in it, and then the Tobias Forge from Ghost. He did Bark at the Moon, which actually did not really sound all that great.
Yeah,
To be honest, it was like he came out and he just. I don't think he should have picked that song, but whatever. But then Billy Corgan did. I think they did like Snowblind and Flying High Again. So that was cool to hear a little Black Sabbath and some Ozzy solo. So that was cool. Pantera was there, and they did Planet Caravan from Paranoid and Electric Funeral from Paranoid. So that was cool. Tool was there. They did Hand of Doom, which from Paranoid, dude, they sounded amazing. That was cool. Slayer was there. Slayer did like South of Heaven and Wicked World from the first Black Sabbath album, and they just mixed those two, and that was crazy. And
that's cool.
It was really cool. One of the things that really impressed me was Guns N' Roses, who we saw at Aftershock a couple years ago, and they were still trying to get their thing together. Actually, Axl's voice, I don't know what he's been doing, but it sounds a lot better than it has.
Good.
It sounds good again. And they did, like, they opened, he's on the piano for It's All Right from Technical Ecstasy, which, like, nobody plays ever. That was from 76. Then they did, from the 78 album, which, Never Say Die never gets really enough, like, Sabbath credit. But they did Never Say Die, and they did Junior's Eyes, which I love that song. It sounded like Guns N' Roses wrote it. It's like the perfect song for them. And they did Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, from that album in 73, which sounded great. And Metallica, man, Hole in the Sky from Sabotage in 75, and they did Johnny Blade from the Never Say Die album. So, man, what a show.
Deep track.
I know, dude. And it's like, what a show that would have been, to check out live and just be there for that whole thing. And then I think they even came out and played songs afterwards. I know Disturbed's lead singer was there, and he got like booed.
Yeah, I know. That's so stupid.
I don't know what's going on with him that people are like all upset.
Oh, because he's pro-Israel.
Okay.
And it's a political thing.
Okay, so it's just a political thing. Interesting. Yeah, so they let him know it, that's for sure, because apparently after the Sabbath show, they did some more stuff. Some more acts came out and played and did some stuff. So we're getting TD now. The shadow and the light.
Dude, can you fix that?
Can I fix it? Like in post? I don't think so.
I can try to close a blind real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, that's way better.
Oh, that's way better. That's way better.
Okay, next time I'll know. I'll just start like this next time. Because I have the blind shut. It's dark in here to me, but it looks like it's light on the camera.
Yeah, your camera will naturally lighten it up.
Okay, that's better. Now I don't feel like a douche.
All good, all good. All right, so what we want to do now is talk about our favorite, just, it doesn't have to be long, but I love doing this stuff, and it always kind of, is fun for me. And if it's fun for you, great. If not, skip ahead or turn it off. I don't know. But we want to talk about our favorite Black Sabbath album first, and then we'll get into solo Ozzy. So first off, just so people know, the Ozzy-led Black Sabbath albums were, of course, Black Sabbath in 1970, of course, Paranoid, which also came out in 1970, so 2 in the same year, which is amazing. Master of Reality in 1971, Volume 4 in 72, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath in 73, Sabotage in 75, Technical Ecstasy in 76, and Never Say Die in 78. Now, the first album, of course, Black Sabbath, NIB, those were the, signature songs. Paranoid, War Pigs, Iron Man, Paranoid. Then you had Master Reality, had Sweet Leaf, Children of the Grave, which were big songs. Volume 4, Snowblind, Supernaut, Changes was on that album. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, of course, the title track, is probably a big one. That's more of like a progressive kind of album if you really listen to that one. It was Trip. That one was 73. Sabotage, of course, Symptom of the Universe is the big song, the big metal track on that for sure. Technical Ecstasy, Again, Dirty Women, some other songs that were on that. Not a real popular album. Never Say Die, the title track. Junior's Eyes, which I really like and is underrated.
Yeah.
And I think that whole thing is underrated. Fan favorites, if you kind of search the internet, what do you think fan favorites think of Black Sabbath? What do you think is the number one kind of consensus fan favorite Black Sabbath album for the Ozzy years? Just off the top here.
Paranoid.
Boom. Yes.
Why I didn't pick Paranoid as my pick, because I was like, that's too easy.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone would pick that.
These are all great. So this is, and you
Yeah.
know what? You could ask us a year from now, and our opinion could be different. But
Yep.
right now, on this day, that is what most fans think is number one. Master of Reality usually kind of is second. And again, if you're maybe those old school metalheads who really love the stoner rock and all that, then that kind of stuff that Black Sabbath was doing. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is on a lot of people's lists for that. So what would you say is your favorite?
I picked Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I thought it's I don't think it's the I think Paranoid's probably the best, but that was too easy. So
Yeah.
Sabbath Bloody Sabbath was a close second. I think I think it's top to bottom, it's a great album.
Yeah. Oh, no question about it. Love that album. For me, one of the things that was really seminal, especially during I want to say the late 80s. You know how a lot of that kind of late 60s, like Doors music, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, all kind of had a renaissance in terms of, people were buying the albums. I know we were, and really kind of getting into that old school stuff while we're, of course, just heavy into the thrash scenes and everything was happening. For me, the original Black Sabbath album, 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago, year I was born, that album came out 13 days before I was born.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And what's crazy about February 13th, 1970, widely considered the starting point of heavy metal.
Yep.
Some people will say maybe Led Zeppelin 1, and Communication Breakdown and some of that really kind of was what triggered, but this album, no question. You hear that, your parents are, sending you to therapy because you're a devil worshiper. No question about it. And people were smoking mass doobies when this album came out. And they recorded it in just one day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is
That's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, and what's cool about that makes it so amazing to me. But they didn't overthink it. They just captured it. You know what I mean? Just captured it on tape. You can hear there are imperfections when you listen to. There's some buzzing. There is room noise on occasion. I swear to God, but it sounds amazing. And just the title track alone, it is the first doom metal track.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And it was the devil was there. And when you hear something like NIB, it's and the Wizard, those are just iconic. And I think about too when that came out, how it just sent people just spinning on their heads. And
because back then the Beatles were still huge.
Just kind of finishing up. Right?
Yeah,
I think 79 was their last album. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And here this other force from England comes out, and just invades everybody's airwaves. And it's that's my favorite. But both great albums, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and the first album. Anything else? Maybe what's your favorite? You want to comment here? Please leave us a comment. Tell us what you think is your favorite album and why. That would be great. Then, of course, Ozzy got into the solo years. More of what we remember growing up is Ozzy and his solo days. Once we got into the 80s, one of the best albums that I had, I wore out the groove on it, and I cannot find it. Maybe somebody can. Maybe they've reissued it. But Speak of the Devil, which was that live. Remember that? It was that live concert. It's all Sabbath, all Sabbath songs. It was a live concert. I think the guitarist from Night Ranger.
Oh right, yeah, he was. Yeah, that's true. Brad Gillis.
Yeah,
He's a
dude.
local guy. Yeah,
He shredded that album. I mean, that
yeah,
like if I could, and I know that Ozzy was coked out of his mind
yeah,
when he did that, but it sounds so good. It was so good. Every song. Not that I don't love all the Black Sabbath stuff. And again, back then, all we had a lot were the originals.
yeah.
So I'm
Right.
not seeing Tony Iommi and seeing the concert, so I
Yeah,
had something to compare it to. This live concert was so amazing, and then it just completely went out of print. I'm sure Sabbath had a problem with it.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but if you guys can find, I'm sure it's uploaded somewhere. Man, that was an amazing thing. But let's quickly get into Ozzy. And before we do that, you have a prop that you brought
Oh
with you.
yes, that's a good segue. So I have the super cool Ozzy stuffed animal headless bat. Look at that.
Now, where did you get that?
I well, first of all, I only know one other person that has one of these, and it's my friend Stacy Rides. So shout out to you, Stacy.
Yes.
Probably on Instagram one night.
Okay.
Oh, I've got to have that. So I've had it for a few years now, and it's just and my biggest fear is the dog somehow gets a hold of it. 'Cause it'll be more than headless quickly. So
He will
it's cool.
swallow that head.
Totally,
Yeah,
yeah. So got a
that's
little Velcro.
so cool, dude.
I love
So
it.
cool. Yeah, and it's such an infamous story, that Ozzy biting the head off a bat. I think he had to have like 15 rabies shots in his belly after that. Like seriously, like
Horrible.
I think Sharon was in his life then, and maybe like as his manager or something like that. I think that's how the story goes. I don't know for sure, but yeah, I mean, was just horrible. And for a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, that's a wives' tale. He didn't do that." No, he did that.
He did
He
that.
did that,
Yeah.
and
Facts.
yeah, he could have died very, very easily. But you could say there's probably 4 dozen times that Ozzy could have probably died
Right,
after
right.
something he did on one.
He had
It's
9 lives for sure.
it's amazing the man lived as long as he did. We were blessed
Yeah.
to have him. And, and again, I know we didn't talk from back to the beginning about Ozzy and Black Sabbath. I thought it was amazing. Their performance was great.
Mhm.
He went off the medicine, I know, so he could be lucid. And
Yeah.
his voice never wavered. He sounded
Mm-mm.
so good. And it was just, one of those things. When he did Mama, I'm Coming Home, man, it was like, oh man, you know,
Yeah.
everyone was kind of tearing up.
Yeah, it's a tearjerker, and that's
Yeah, because you knew that literally is going to be happening. So we didn't know it would be happening that soon. But
right.
here's the Ozzy solo album. So Blizzard of Oz, 1980. Diary of a Madman, 1981. Blizzard of Oz, of course, Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley. First Randy Rhoads album. Diary of a Madman, Flying High Again, Over the Mountain. Great stuff. Bark at the Moon, 1983. That's when Jake E. Lee came in. And of course, the title track, is one of his most famous songs, Bark at the Moon. The Ultimate Sin, man. That's very 80s. The slick,
Yep.
hair-dyed, Ozzy, all of that. Shot in the Dark, though, again, one of those 80s anthems that was there forever, still lives to this day. No Rest for the Wicked in 88. That was Zakk Wylde's debut. So things got pretty funky, Crazy Babies, Miracle Man. Those were pretty big songs for Ozzy back then. No More Tears in 91. He was kind of like, that was big 90s production kind of albums. And, Ozzy moving right into the 90s. Mama, I'm Coming Home was the signature track on that album. And that was huge for him. I mean, a lot of people discovered Ozzy because of that album. And that's why when you mention things, like actors and sports stars who, have a connection to Ozzy, obviously his reality shows later in life, people got a chance to watch that and kind of see who he was.
Yeah.
But, these kind of albums in the 90s were instrumental for a lot of these people. Osmosis came out in 1995, so Perry Mason on that particular album. And yeah, you're right, man. That song still slams, right now.
It's great.
For sure. See You on the Other Side was another one of those kind of melodic tunes from that one. Down to Earth came out in 2001. That was very radio friendly, still heavy for him, but very radio. For Gets Me Through was kind of the Ozzy anthem of that one. Scream was an album that came out in 2010. Gus G taking over on guitar. And that one's kind of more punchy. Let Me Hear You Scream is probably the track that most people know from that one. Ordinary Man from 2020. Yes, he's had albums the last few years. That one came out very reflective. Under the Graveyard is a song that was very prophetic. And it was with Elton John. He did a song with Elton John, which is very crazy. But showed a different side, to Ozzy. And Patient Number 9 came out in 2022. It's kind of like all these stars. I think they all recognized, this would probably be his last album, and it was. Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Tony Iommi appeared on the album as well. So it was a real wild way to just kind of close out that era, the Ozzy era. But he had a lot of solo albums, between 1980 and 2022. Pretty consistent work, over the years. And then obviously, you have gaps like 95 to 2001. That's because he got back with Black Sabbath, And I went to the Black Sabbath reunion tour at the Forum in Inglewood. I think that was 1994. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
That concert. And again, for me and my friends, we thought we would never see Kiss back in the makeup.
No.
Because the entire 80s, they didn't wear it. They were big. Yeah. They had huge hits. MTV favorites were like, well, that's it. And then they came back, whatever that was, 93, whatever. They come back and put the makeup on, and we're just like, what? We couldn't believe it. We never thought we'd see it. I went to a show, not right when they came back, but like this. They did an album called Psycho Circus. And they did a tour for that album. And I went to Dodger Stadium on Halloween and Kiss. And the gimmick they had was they gave you 3D glasses. And if you watch the video screen, you would see it in 3D.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so that time period.
Yeah. So we loved it, of course. Man. It was crazy. And then I saw Black Sabbath 2 more times, including probably one of the best ones was Ozfest 2006. And that was in San Bernardino. I flew home and we took a RV from LA all the way up to San Bernardino. Not San Bernardino. It was in Sacramento. Excuse me. It was in Sacramento.
Oh, wow.
So it was a long trip. And we went there, and it was also Iron Maiden playing.
Oh, wow.
Zakk Wylde had Black Label Society going, but Iron Maiden only did the songs from the first 4 albums.
Wow, nice.
So that was epic. And we had 10th row. It was amazing.
Oh, wow.
We had VIP. That was the first time I ever did VIP, and I was like,
once you do VIP, you don't go back.
I'm doing VIP forever. Exactly. I don't care what it costs. So, but what do you think the fan consensus pick is the number 1 Ozzy solo album?
Well, hold on. Prepare to hold. I'm going to show you my pick.
Good. Show it. Bring it. We have to see this, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, It is nice when we have visuals. Todd is bringing the props today.
So I'm going to have to go. The public's pick has got to be Blizzard of Oz.
Yes. Blizzard of Oz.
Mine. This is mine. Diary of a Madman.
Bro.
The actual record.
That is mine too.
The original.
That is mine too. Diary of a Madman, 1981. Yeah. That album, track for track, was so good. And Randy Rhoads went bigger, went bolder. I mean, that's why it was such a tragedy, when he passed away, because Rhoads wasn't just writing riffs for this album. It was kind of like Eddie Van Halen, there were classical guitar influences, throughout. His chord voicings were just things we weren't hearing, and the arrangements just made everything feel bigger. You know, Ozzy was always larger in life, but Randy Rhoads just made it feel bigger and more ambitious, everything. And so it was just amazing to me. And compared to Blizzard of Oz, this one was like darker, more orchestral atmosphere, you know, just listening to that album. In fact, I think I'm going to listen to it on the way home, because it's like when I start talking about it, I always remember, every once in a while I have to put it back on. But, you know, a lot of what they were playing and stuff really wasn't common in a lot of 80s early metal. Like, they were setting the stage for stuff there. And, you know, obviously Over the Mountain Flying High with the obvious hits, but like Believer, Little Dolls, and, you know, whatever, SATO. That was it, man. Those were great songs. And, you know, Diary of a Madman, just like one of the most dramatic closers in Ozzy's you know, career, you know. So I can't say enough about like that album, and like what I think influence wise too. I'm sure on so many bands, they listen to that and they're like, we got to step it up. You know?
Well, I've got a funny story. Speaking of Ozzy, I just remembered this. So I don't know if you recall, Chipper Jones' walk-up song was "Crazy Train," and they were in New York. Excuse me, playing the Mets. Mike Piazza's the catcher, and you know, his real name was Larry. So the New York fans always chant Larry, you know, to mess with him. So he gets up to the plate, and Mike Piazza looks at him and says, "I hate this song." Chipper's like, "We better get used to it. You're going to hear it 5 more times tonight." So, his influence on all these different people was just pretty amazing.
Yeah, dude. Awesome. Yeah. No, Chipper Jones, man, he was a baller. No doubt. So was Mike Piazza, man. You know, I got a lot of love for Mike Piazza. His Dodger days were the days that I knew him. And, you know, he was amazing for us. It was amazing. We could not, as a, you know, I grew up in LA, so I was a huge Dodger fan. I moved, you know, to Detroit in '99, and those 90s, or the early 90s, with Piazza and Raul Mondesi and Hideo Nomo, and all, we actually had the what they called the United Nations rotation, you know, Ramon Martinez from Mexico, and Tom Candiotti, the knuckleballer from America, Hideo Nomo from Japan. You know, I mean, it was just like one after the other. But Mike Piazza was my guy, man. That guy could ball. But I'm not a New York fan at all. So when he went to the Mets, I was pretty bummed. So I was like, well, I don't root for you anymore, bro. So
right.
Yeah, and I don't think they won a World Series. I think they had a Subway Series, and I think the Yankees won that.
I think they did too. Yeah, pretty sure.
Yes, I don't think he got one with that. But anyway. All right, so gosh, we've been going quite a while. So, you know, we haven't been doing this in a while, so we're catching up too while we're doing this, guys. But a couple more things before we head out. I do want to say, you know, next month, Ra and I, we are going to Slayer. There was no way that I was going to miss that show, and I'm going to do it. It's one night only. It's like a metal takeover, and it's going to be epic. I'm going to get some great clips. We have really good seats. Slayer is doing just kind of this one night only headlining show. I think, you know, a few nights before they're playing like Louder Than Life, but that's not the same thing, you know? No. This is like a stadium one night show. September 20th. It's their only East Coast appearance of 2025. Who knows? You know, they're kind of getting along a little right now, but who knows if they're going to be able to continue. I know Kerry King is putting out a second album, you know, with his group. Obviously, Gary Holt and Exodus are touring and rolling. And, you know, he certainly, I'm sure, loves playing Slayer music, so he'll show up anytime they want. It's really up to Tom, you know, if he wants to still kind of do it. But, hey, if you know, you just do it half a dozen times a year, get that money, you know. Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, you know, we can make arrangements to be there and check it out. Doors open around 3. Concert kicks off at 4 because there's a lot of bands playing. The venue is about 30,000 people, so it's good size. It's definitely going to be rocking. WWE star Damian Priest, because he uses Slayer's South of Heaven, as his like signature move or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's his thing. He's hosting the event, so I think he's the one that kind of got. I think he's probably from there, got this thing
Yeah.
going, which is because
That's
it was
cool.
it was unusual that they were doing this just kind of one-off thing. But
Yeah.
you've got Knocked Loose, who is going to bring some of the younger fans. I'm not a huge Knocked Loose fan.
Mhm.
It's really the music isn't so much that I don't like it. The singing style is very screamy, and it's a little too much. But they do have some songs that I like. So I'm going to be interested to see at this particular event what kind of a set list they play. Hopefully, they play more to the audience than just what they want to do. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But Suicidal Tendencies, yes, please. Power Trip is back. So
Interesting.
Riley Gale has passed away, obviously, several years ago, and they've got another lead singer now who has stepped up. So I love that Power Trip is back. I saw him in 2019 here in Detroit, and I thought, I don't know, I thought maybe I would never see him again. Do you remember when we were at Aftershock in whatever that was, 23 or whatever, that the guitarist's mom was right in front of us in the VIP when we were watching, I don't know, I think we were watching Megadeth. And
Oh, wow.
and
I
she's
don't
like,
remember that.
yeah, and she's like, you don't remember?
Well, I don't remember a lot of that night.
But I just remember it was so like, I was like, wow. I was like, my God, I love Power Trip. I was like, and she's like, yeah, and they had some side gigs going. Some of the band had some side projects going. They're good. That's good too. But anyway, they're back. Caballera is back, who we've had the opportunity to see at Hell's Heroes and other times. We saw him at was one of the few bands we actually got to see at Blue Ridge before that whole thing blew up. But they are doing Sepultura's Chaos AD album, which Refuse, Resist, all that's great album. Territory, all that is on that album. So that's awesome. And Exodus will be there. And they're doing Bonded by Blood. If you watch the episode before, they've got, the Sousa's not with the group anymore. So they've got the other gentleman. Rob is back. And I love the show, the local show that I went to. But again, Exodus, we'll have to do another show when we talk about bands that are iconic of all time. We've kind of done some big four kind of play with, but pound for pound, man, you listen to the Exodus catalog and doesn't matter the lead singer, just the music throughout the decades, where some bands, a lot of bands, they have their
Anger.
Exactly. Testaments, what was that? Demolition or whatever that death metal album they did, it was not good. And they're all of them, but Exodus, boom. It's like everything just shreds, kills. Exactly. Just the thrash legends they are. So anyway, that's going to be a great show. I know that Tom Araya has been out there saying it's going to be fucking sick. Quoted him saying that. He said, if you're not, if he said, be there. If not, you're either dead, in jail, or a sissy.
That's a threat, a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Kerry King said that previous shows rivaled like Big Four reactions. And so he promised fans that all of Slayer's signature fire effects are going to be in place and everything. So he said, we're just going to burn everything like we used to. So,
That's great.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me I'm in. I was in at Hello. So whatever, I'm there. The other thing real quick, and it kind of correlates with this show. I bought tickets to go see Zach Sabbath. They're playing here in Ann Arbor, which is where the University of Michigan is. Michigan Theater. I've not seen a show there. They very rarely have anything that I would be interested in seeing there. But because, Zach Wilde, of course, was Ozzy's guitarist, Zach was at Back to the Beginning playing when the Ozzy stuff was going on. So that was, super cool. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing Zach do Sabbath because I missed it the last time they were here. I had tickets, but I couldn't go. And
Yeah.
so that is going to be November 18th. And they have an AC/DC tribute band called Bonfire who's playing before it, and a tribute act called Dark Chapel. So not sure exactly what they play, but I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, I know that he's got some new guys in his Zach Sabbath lineup. Some guy named John J.D. DeServio, who was a long member of Black Label Society, and he was with some other bands. And the drummer was originally from Queens of the Stone Age, Joey Castillo, and he's also played for like Danzig and Eagles of Death Metal and the Bronx. They had an album last year, if you want to check out Zach Sabbath, because people forget that Zach has such a great voice. He's the lead singer of Black Label
Yeah.
Society, and really sings Sabbath well. They did an album called Greatest Riffs. And so they do like Iron Man, War Pigs, The Wizard, Sweet Leaf. That's all on that album. Check it out. And then you'll see what I'm talking about when we're talking about Zach Sabbath. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll have clips and stuff to share from that. Lastly, just a couple bits of news. I just want to get your opinion on this. Megadeth has announced their final album and their farewell tour. I saw your meme. That was hilarious. The Anchorman meme. That was classic.
Good.
But, another band that is finally said, this is it. Megadeth.
Well, they may end up like Slayer, where they start doing these, one-off shows, a couple times a year, which is fine. I can handle that, but I guess you can't play forever. But we'll see. No tour dates that I could tell have been announced, and no support bands listed. So I hope that they put together some really good support bands, because if they're going out, I don't want a bunch of wimpy bands playing with them.
Right. Yeah, we'll see if they hit at the festivals, because they might. And who knows? Maybe they'll give them a headline night, because it is their last go around. That's what they were doing with Kiss when they were kind of going out. They were giving them kind of, usually those festivals, those Wimmer shows that are Thursday through Sunday, they'll give them like the Friday night, headline gig. So they can have one big kind of, blowout. We'll see what this album sounds like. I'm curious to see, if they go out kind of back to the roots, because, Kings of Thrash are back on track. It's Dave Ellefson's, group, and who I saw at the Machine Shop in Flint a few years back. And they're touring, and they're just doing the first two albums. And the original guitarist with Sabbath, I forget his name, is in that band, and they're just doing first two albums, which were great,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, so, and I think they even did some P-Cell songs too. So they're touring. So I'm curious to see what this album is it. And really, as we wrap it up, kind of the maybe the last gift that I think Ozzy is giving the world is that, because of his death and because he crossed over so many genres and did so many different things, there's a little bit of a resurgence, I think, right now of heavy metal. I think there's more interest in heavy metal, and I think that I think people are kind of discovering it. And who knows, man? Maybe we'll get a metal renaissance here and really send us into a new era.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it that we got for this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching. How are the socials doing? I've been bad about uploading clips and things like that. I know we've got about 183 subscribers on the YouTube channel, and I'll start posting more stuff, of course, as I start going to shows again, which should be soon. Obviously, the Slayer show next month, I'll have, with those bands, a ton of shorts and clips like that. But what else is happening?
Facebook, we're 2,700 plus. Insta, 338. But I really haven't gone to any shows lately either, so I haven't really had anything to post. So that's, but I do go on there, and especially Instagram. I'm surprised at how many bands I didn't realize I was following yet. So I try to stay on it, in terms of things like that. And but we're getting back in the groove. We got October 15th, we got Dark Angel, Sacred Reich, Violence, Hyrix, Midnight, and Interceptor at the UC Theater, Berkeley. So I'll get some.
Oh yeah, that's in October.
Yeah, October 15th. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So Slayer show September 20th. We'll have content for there. Yours is October 15th. Zach Sabbath's like November 18th. So we've got some stuff at least that we'll attending, and I'm going to try to definitely hit a couple, some other shows. I know as I just pull out my little calendar here.
Well, we've got the Death Angel Christmas show in December.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. I definitely want to get, because I don't think we've shown clips from that.
I don't think so either, but
Yeah.
I haven't gone in a couple years. I've gone to a lot of them, but this year we're going to go and
Sweet.
get some.
So yeah, I definitely want that. Some things that are coming up that have me intrigued. I don't think I'll get, in fact, I don't think I'm going to get to, so Autopsy hasn't played here in 35 years.
Ooh,
And
wow.
I know. And so they're like a classic death metal band, and Acid Witch is playing with them, and some other bands, some cool ones, Nun Slaughter, and another band called Cardiac Arrest. So it's like, I was like, wow, that sounds like my kind of show. But it's August 23rd, and probably by the time this comes out, it'll be, just like 10 days away or whatever, but or less. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that, but I hope Autopsy comes back if I get a chance. I know that Nile is touring right now, and they're touring with like Cryptopsy, Cryptopsy, and some other ones. Kubla Khan, Texas, you know those guys? I've never seen.
We've seen them before. I think we have at a festival.
Okay, maybe maybe we have. I was going to check their set list. They're playing October 1st, see if there's something. Of course, Alice Cooper and Judas Priest are coming back for one more round. It's amazing. Yeah. Those guys are still doing it. That's October 2nd. So Revocation is coming to town. They're a band, and they're coming with Judiciary, who I love. They're in the Texas band. I really want to see them. So they're playing October 21st. A couple days later, Biohazard is coming here.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So and they're playing with Onyx, and that's October 20th. Kings of Thrash will be here on October 24th. So, Cattle Decapitation has a big show here with Aborted and Frozen Soul in December. So who knows? There's some good stuff there that and who knows, some other stuff might still get announced. Sometimes it just gets announced and they're here within, whatever, 3 weeks. So we'll see. Lots of stuff out there. Tell us what you guys are going to. Make sure, again, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and follow the Agents of Rage. Please connect with us. And, we try to reply to comments, or at least like them and stuff, if you guys are liking what we're doing.
Definitely.
And hopefully we'll get back into a routine. I'd like to say we can do 2 a month. That's really the plan, every couple of weeks. And, we'll see what's happening. So other than that, you ready to go?
Yes.
All right. We will see you guys. Rage on.